I think it should be Black History 365, especially, during Black History Month, that we can just enrich the knowledge about our history. I'm currently teaching at Boston Day and Evening Academy, and I wanted to just better my knowledge to address this in my own community and with my school.
We celebrate in so many ways, for so many reasons, to honor those whose contributions are not known or would be forgotten in American history. If we did not bring them to light, if we did not celebrate them, we all know, or we certainly let everyone else know, that Black history is American history. We also celebrate to recognize how far we have come as a people and a whole society. We also celebrate to honor those who continue to be in the struggle today and to discuss the issues of today that are important to our future.
This event centered around addressing the wealth gap, which is, connected to so many different types of issues facing communities.
Since the publication of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston's The Color of Wealth in Boston in 2015, we often hear the staggering statistic that the median net worth for white households in Greater Boston was nearly $250,000 in 2015, while for Black families, it was just $8. Our panelists will explore the challenges and opportunities we face in seeking to change that number.
And one of the ways to address the racial wealth gap and to close the racial wealth gap is through entrepreneurship, is through business ownership and development. A report came out in 2020 called our Disparity Study, which showed that over a 5-year period, through 47,000 contracts and $2 billion, only 0.4% of those contracts went to Black businesses, which translated to $14 million out of $2 billion, okay? This past January, Mayor Wu was able to stand up and say that out of $100 million that went to diverse businesses, which are women and minority owned, 30 million of that went to Black businesses, and that's within 1 year as opposed to 5 years to get to 14.
Accordia Partners was formed in 2014 with the explicit purpose of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and contributing to closing the racial wealth gap, utilizing large-scale urban projects to bring benefits to diverse populations in the community. We have about 36 acres in and around the JFK station in Dorchester, and we're proposing about a $6 million mixed-use development that will create 25,000 construction jobs and about 16,000 permanent jobs when the development is completed.
When I went to go work for the Baker administration as undersecretary, the message they told people is this: people of color cannot get jobs because they lack education, because they lack college degrees, because of this, that, and the other that was endemic to those populations. My simple argument was, that may be true in some cases, but our systems are flawed. They do not meet people where they are to help them to get to where they want to be, especially for unemployed and underemployed individuals. One, you got to be willing to meet them where they are. We are determined to give people who have lacked access to meaningful job training opportunities and high demand, high growth occupations.
For a long time, the city of Boston has been way more committed to symbolism than substance. We're in and it's not just Boston, it's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You look at the fact that 50 years ago, 20,000 people to march down to the Boston Common and then go to the state legislature to fight for what? Affordable housing, access to education, supporting Black businesses, no police brutality. And what are we talking about today, 50 years later? Affordable housing, access to quality education, supporting Black businesses, no police brutality. And so we get to that point because you become a place that embraces warmly symbolism, right? Oh, we elected Ayanna Pressley, the first Black woman ever in the 100+ year history of the city council in 2009. Yay us for being 100 years too late. We always celebrate these symbolic victories while the masses of people remain suffering and remain not having that access and remain stuck in this bureaucracy that Ron was pointing out. The Brookings Institution put out a report in January that shows that out of all the commercial property owned in America, 3% is owned by Black people. And we know that home ownership is really important, but so is owning commercial property. So in terms of the data that we would love to have is who owns what in the city of Boston, particularly in Black neighborhoods, so we know who we're talking to. And who we can negotiate with, and how we can make sure that small business owners or residents or others can own the properties. And in particular, we want to move to a model of communal ownership, of cooperative ownership, so that we're helping a bunch of small businesses own the building that they're in, make the decisions, and build wealth for themselves and their employees.
How do you ensure that some of these programs meet individuals, meet people where they are? One of the things that Accordia Partners is proposing is we will build out a workforce development center. We're calling it the Education and Innovation Center, and it's for adults to train them, to connect them with employers in the life sciences, in the IT, building services, culinary. There will be a place to connect people with those opportunities.
There are plenty of industries that we find Black and brown people ending up in over and over, a lot of service industries, maybe trades, etc. But what are the spaces where the income growth has really high potential at a very high rate, but we're not there? And how do we get there?
Yeah, shortest answer is that life sciences.
Yes.
There are a number of jobs within the life sciences industry that don't require a bachelor's degree or don't require an advanced degree, but are just good jobs, or what 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we would call middle income jobs, a phrase you very rarely hear anymore, jobs that don't require a degree but pay a very decent, good income that can be a platform for advancing.
I think it's important to kind of talk about these issues, the wealth gap, opportunity gap, because it's the only way that we can actually take tangible steps to solving this. And ABCD, they wanted to say, well, how can they fit into the solutions? Where can they kind of have the most impact? They polled the audience to see what is the best way or the most tangible way to actually combat the wealth disparities that we see here today. It's not something that's so far-fetched. It's actually something that can happen. It's tangible. We can fight policies. We can protest. There's ways to take civic action to actually have change.
Segun, when he talked about action, he could say it over and over again. It's the men and women of action that are really worth listening to. And it's not just these individuals, it's each and every one of you, because there's a place for you in the arena. Find what you care about, get involved, even on your non-ABCD time, to help advance the agenda. Because again, the wealth gap emanates from so many opportunity gaps that there's a whole lot of work for a whole lot of us to be doing, even when we think we're tired.